Well, the weekend has come to an end, but it does not mean we end things here. So today, as you know, I was unable to review for you guys TNA Bound for Glory. So there's a lot that took place. We do have, of course, certain title changes and different special matches as well. And then, of course, we move on with day 3 of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Super Junior Tag League. And I think we have the mixture of both the A block and the B block. And then we cap up our episode with NXT Halloween Havoc. As you know, we have most championships on the line and, of course, a special match. So there's a lot that we're going to be covering on this episode. And then we cap up our episode with some news updates. However, this particular news updates have some developments. One features, of course, the unfortunate tragedy that took place in Ric Flair's life. More on Samantha Irvin, and I believe we have one on Sawyer Wreck, who you may have seen in GCW. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews and various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, I can either put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Nike Sayaka watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside, it's time to rock out. So let's begin with our very first review, and that is, of course, TNA Bound for Glory. Okay, TNA Bound for Glory. So let's begin with the countdown. Our first match, we have Heather by Elegance, along with Ash by Elegance, and along with that Pencil Neck Weasel, the stooge, I forgot his name. They take on Brinley Reese and, of course, Zaya Brookside. But, of course, when it comes to this match, that dumbass stooge gets involved in this match. Well, Brookside was dealing with him by choking up with the sweater. She doesn't realize that apparently this cost her the match and allowed Brinley Reese to get manhandled by both Heather and Ash with the Swanton. So a lot of things will take place on them, but I don't know how Zaya Brookside will come out of this since she had enough of Ash by Elegance. But sooner or later, they will deal with this. Now, during the countdown, as you know, earlier we did talk about the TNA Hall of Fame. This is, as you know, this is one of their big events that they do every year in TNA. This year we have Bob Ryder and of course Rhino. So they were for Bob Ryder, he was inducted by Eric Young, and as for Rhino, he was inducted by Tommy Dreamer. And both guys did their speeches, that sort of thing. Now, our next match, which is the final of the countdown, is the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. Now, those who are not familiarized with this match, let me tell you what it is. It's a 20-man battle royale Basically, every competitor has a right to choose to call their shots. It could be a match, it could be a title match, however you want to do it. But I knew in this match, because one particular person is determined to get what he wants, and that person was Frankie Kazarian, because Frankie, as you know, this past Thursday he lost a match and he had to be end up in the number one spot, while the guy who beat him, AJ Francis, was the one who got the 20 spot. But however, somehow Frankie Kazarian got lucky, even though nobody wants to see him win, ended up winning the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. But it's no secret that he is trying to find a way to obtain the TNA World Title as soon as possible. Now let's jump into the main card. We have the TNA X Division match. We have Hijo de Vikingo and Mike Bailey. Now, of course, we all know this is a dream match that we definitely could get behind. I mean, Hijo de Vikingo, the guy is a crazy high flyer. Mike Bailey, a very decorated wrestler. And you know how that goes. But however, I have noticed how the possibility that Hijo Vikingo, as you know, he was injured not too long ago. He just recently came back. But this could bite him in the butt, for his injury. And that led to a somewhat of a suplex by Mike Bailey to win the match. Now, I don't know exactly if this led to Vikingo getting injured, but we will find out. Now, our next match is the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team titles. We have, of course, Rosemary and Wendy Chu taking on Spitfire, Danny Luna, and Jody Threat. So, as you know, recently we know that Rosemary and Wendy Chu have targeted Spitfire for quite some time, but it's also got them the energy to put themselves in this match. But however, Spitfire were able to reign supreme when they applied the pressure drop on Wendy Chu and picked up the win. However, while Spitfire celebrated their victory, Rosemary was not having it, so she speared Wendy Chu. So this means it's the end of the demonic duo, as you call it. So yeah. Now, our next match we have, of course, is Steve Maclin versus Josh Alexander. Now, of course, many people have been asking for this match for a long time. It's no secret about these guys' past. As you know, when Josh Alexander was the TNA World Champion, Steve Maclin pursued him, but he never got the chance to get that match from him. But now things are becoming more aggressive. But Josh Alexander tied, of course, Steve Maclin, had his hands tied on his back, kind of like handcuffs with these straps, and that kind of led to him, of course, to a fight with no hands. So ref tried to take it out, but you can say Steve Maclin on one side, he is foolish. Two, he's the kind of guy who will not back down from any fight, even of the circumstances. But however, this might have cost him the match when Josh Alexander put him in ankle lock. He did not tap out, but he passed out due to the fact of the referee's decision to call the match. Now, I'm sure Steve Maclin will definitely get back at this match sooner or later. Now, our next match, we have the Digital Media title and the International Heavyweight Championship in a Monster Ball match. We have Matt Cardona versus PCO. Now, remember, Matt Cardona started this mess with PCO, tried to obtain what he called his property, which is, of course, Steph the Landers. That kind of puts it out in a way. However, of course, Matt Cardona, who calls himself the king of the death matches, but well, he's not so king after all, because PCO put him through all hell, and then he applied the PCO salt, and just like that, retained the belts. Now, our next match, as you know, this is a feud that began ever since before the end of Moose's reign as the TNA World Champion. Moose faces Mike Santana. Now, this mess started when Mike Santana made his intentions clear that he wants a shot of the TNA World title, and Moose intending to stop him, so he sent his little grease monkey, JDC, to do the job, which, of course, was a success. But, of course, Mike Santana doesn't forget, and he intends to repay that in full. And that's exactly what he's been doing. Since he was unable to be part of the Slammiversary scramble, he decides to target Moose and the rest of the system. Now, of course, JDC was there watching, even though Myers and Edwards were not involved. But, however, Mike Santana took him out with the spin the block, and just like that, it was over. Our next match is the TNA Knockouts World Title. This was a match that was somehow meant to come back Masha Slivers versus Jordan Grace. Now, it's not the first time these two ladies come across each other before. It happened when, of course, Masha started out in TNA, and now they're reliving it. But I have to say, this was a brutal match, but a perfect match because I think this was a long time coming for Masha Slamovich. We feel that Jordan Grace has finally pushed to the limit, but it was, of course, Masha Slamovich with a pile driver that puts Jordan away and become our brand new TNA Knockouts World Champion. And of course, Jordan Grace passed the belt to her, showing her some sign of respect. So now that Masha's the new champion, the real question is who will be now targeting her with that title. I would say Ash by Elegance is the top of my list, who I definitely know will try to get it. Even Alicia and who else? But we will see what happens until then. Now, our next match is the TNA World Title. Now, of course, that sleazeball, Frankie Kazarian is in this match as a ref. But as you know, do not count out. He has to call the shot gauntlet, the trophy, so he can cash it in. Now, it's between Joe Hendry and Nick Meneth. Now, the match was going pretty well, but at the moment when both Meneth and Hendry were out, he had Frankie Kazarian called out for a ref to call the shot. But however, that's when the biggest shocker happened. JBL showed up and gave him a lariat, and then he did the same thing to Hendry. So it seems that JBL is protecting Meneth. It's still unclear, but however, Meneth was able to get back up and do the danger zone against Joe Hendry to retain the belt. But of course, the real question is, what is JBL's tensions towards Nick Meneth? We don't know. I'm sure Frankie Kazarian doesn't give a damn, but I'm sure he's going to give a damn the fact that he cost him the opportunity to obtain the title. But I wouldn't count on it. As I said, it seems that JBL is protecting him. So we'll see what happens. Now, our main event, we have, of course, the TNA World Tag Team titles on the line in a Full Metal Mayhem match. We have the Hardys versus the ABC and the Systems, Brian Myers, and of course, Eddie Edwards. Now, of course, a lot of things were taking place. I mean, all hell was breaking loose. People were getting hurt. But however, we did notice that Chris Bay might have injured himself. So we'll learn more about that. But however, it was, of course, the Hardys that picked up the win when they pulled the belts down in the ladder match, since this match is a bit of a ladder match. And just like that, they are brand new TNA World Tag Team Champions. Now, I know there's people who talked about recently that, of course, they should not make them, but you got to remember, they feel like they're in the last run of their careers. So we will see where their careers lead them now in TNA, and then from there, we'll see what happens. But for now, we'll just move on to our next review, and that is, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, as we continue with more of New Japan Pro Wrestling Super Junior Tag League, we are going to do a little mix up on this one with the A block and the B block, and I think this is the third day and it's in Korakuen Hall. Now, our first match is part of the A block, I believe. Yes, A block, we have, man, these guys who we hate. The House of Torture, Sho and Kanemaru versus Capitan Sida and Tiger Mask. Now, of course, when it comes to the House of Torture, they intend to use dirty tactics to win their matches. That's always been their game for who knows how long. But the point is, they picked up the win, and just like that, it was over. When they took out, of course, sorry about that, got a message here. But anyway, they took out, of course, Tiger Mask and Suicida, giving them their first 2 points as they started out badly. Now, we continue with the B block. We have the Velocities making their debut. Paris de Silva and Jude London taking on Ninja Mac and DKC. Now, remember, these guys, DKC and Ninja Mac, well, they were not exactly on the same page, but somehow these guys were able to obtain they were able to coexist in some capacity. So they were able to pick up a win by taking out Jude London when he applied a Phoenix 630 splash on him, and just like that, giving them their first 2 points. So that leaves, of course, the velocities at 0. And I forgot to mention Capitan Suicida and Tiger Mask with 0. So basically, we're still in the early stages. Now back to the A block, we have Ryusuke Taguchi and Dragon Dia taking on, of course, LIJ's Bushi and Hiromu Takahashi. So it's a very unusual. Now, of course, many of you would think when you think of this match, you think in the back of your minds, LIJ is going to win. Well, I thought so too when I thought it. But however, it was Taguchi to pick up the win when he pinned Bushi, just like that. So they get their first 2 points, while LIJ remains still in 2 points. Now to B block, we have the Bullet Club, Robbie X and Taiji Shimori taking on the Jet Setters. Now, of course, this would definitely be a good win for Robbie X and Taiji Shimori if they pin the Jet Setters. Now, we did see that recently with the War Dogs, but however, this time it did not happen. Kushida was able to beat, of course, Bullet Club by applying the backslide, which is a move that has been effective, but basically is an easy move to get out. But they picked up their first 2 points on this, leaving Bullet Club with just 2. Now, our next match, back to A block, we have the War Dogs. Of course, Maloney and Connors taking on Fujita and Robbie Eagles. Now, I have to say, what a good match on this one. I did not anticipate a whole lot of this one, but it was a pretty good one in my opinion. But however, it was, of course, the full clip on Fujita that actually picked up the win for the War Dogs, all thanks to Maloney. So basically, they are now at the top of their block with 4 points, meaning they are now currently undefeated. So basically, they have 4 points, while TMDK only has 2. So we will see what happens when we get there. Now, our main event is back to the B block. We have Roppongi Revice, as they're now calling, Rocky Romero and Yo taking on Catch 2-2. Now, of course, Catch 2-2 is a very dominant team that we know. I wasn't too sure where this one was going to go, but it was a pretty impressive match. But it was, of course, there was a miscue in the 2x2 when Yo got out of the way. But, however, it was the re-event Stomp Zero, which is a move that Rocky and Trent Beretta did together. And, of course, Akira was the one who ended up on the wrong side of it, allowing for Yo to pick up the win, giving them the 2 points. So that means Roppongi Revice is currently undefeated with just 4 points, leaving, of course, Catch 2-2 with just 2. But there was an interesting moment in the post-match where, of course, they kissed the neck of TJP, all of them, including Francisco Guerra, which is funny. I don't know what's the point of it, but I thought it was very interesting. But I cannot say that Roppongi Revice are the team that would win, but it would be interesting to see this combination, of teaming up. We know Rocky has been an expert in tag teaming, so is Yo. We would love to see Yo win the IWGP Championship, but we'll see where that goes from here on out. But for now, let's just end things here and move on with our last and final review, NXT Halloween Havoc. NXT Halloween Havoc. We opened up with the NXT North American title in a tables, ladders, and scares match. Now, this was a thing that was developed by Obafemi with the spin the wheel. However, before this match, the end game for Obafemi is to ensure there was no interference coming from Tony D'Angelo, the current champion. He took out Rizzo, then he took out Stax and Luca Crucifinos in hopes this would win. And of course, we all saw that Obafemi was intending to brutalize Tony D'Angelo, but however, out of nowhere, we noticed, of course, Andrea Rizzo showed up with the crowbar to give the helping hand, and then Stax and Luca Crucifino showed up to even the odds to get payback, and that's exactly what happened. And then, of course, Tony D'Angelo finished off Obafemi with the spin the block to retain his North American Championship. Now, this is a very interesting interview by Sarah. She talks to Lexis King looking for a cornerman. Well, a very unusual offer came into his place, and that offer was in result of Charlie Dempsey's papa, William Regal, which surprises. But I can't wait to see. But I can't wait to see what Charlie Dempsey thinks of it. Our next match, we have Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez taking on Stephanie Vaquer and Julia. Now remember, they do not tolerate people like Julia and Stephanie Vaquer making their presence known, believing that this is their show, that they're run. But however, as many people would say, the tides are now changing. So that means Julia and Stephanie Vaquer are going to dominate the women's division. That is something that I don't think Cora Jade or Roxanne Perez is going to tolerate. But man, the cohesion between both Steph and Julia was pretty cool. They did a lot of moves, even the knee strikes. But however, it was of course Stephanie Vaquer with the corkscrew moonsault onto Roxanne Perez, onto Stephanie Vaquer onto Roxanne Perez, allowing for Stephanie to win the match. But there are those that indicate since she defeated and pinned Roxanne Perez, Steph could definitely get a shot of the NXT Women's title, which I don't think Roxanne is going to appreciate, but she may not have no choice. Now, our next match, an ambulance match between Ridge Holland and Andre Chase. Now, this happened because Ridge Holland turned his back on Chase U, and now Andre Chase was determined to get payback. Now, of course, the ambulance match, this is a match where you put your opponent in a ambulance, in the back of an ambulance, and close the door. It does not result of a pinfall or submission or countout. But of course, this is a match kind of like Falls Count Anywhere, but you just got to put him in the ambulance, and that person who won that match was none other than Ridge Holland. Now, our next match is the NXT Women's North American title in a gauntlet match. Now, remember, Fatal Influence running their mouths saying that Kelani Jordan has been ducking them. Well, that's a load of bullshit. Well, basically, they did that. However, the first person who took a crack at Kelani Jordan was Jasmine Nix. And, of course, you know, Nix was the bottom of the pole of the Fatal Influence, and she's a rookie, even though they don't consider her as one. She ended up with the leg split moonsault and lost. While Kelani Jordan retained the belt, Daisy Jane showed up, but she tried to do things differently. But unfortunately, Kelani Jordan won the match by applying the bridge. But however, Daisy Jane attacked Kelani Jordan in order to soften her up to give Fallon Henley the opportunity to, of course, for her to finish the match. But however, that didn't do any well. Then, of course, Fatal Influence tried to get involved in the match in order to of course, take her out, which they did. But Jordan applied a 450 splash. She missed, and that allowed for, of course, for Fallon Henley to apply the Shining Wizard, celebrating completely. They proven their point. However, they were do a promo. They were tending to demand until the lights turned out. Zaria showed up, and she wiped out the entire Fatal Influence. This is going to cause a concern. Fatal Influence claim that they are the ones that run the show. However, how are you going to stop someone like Zaria? I wouldn't be surprised if she teams up with Julia and Stephanie to dominate the women's division. That is something that I don't think Fatal Influence cannot tolerate. But we will see what happens. Now, we do see a very interesting that's happening now. As you know, before the main event, it's a Devil's Playground match. We did see Booker T and, of course, Vic checking out the playground. And there's a box where Tatum Paxley shows up. Ava actually was trying to get her out, but unfortunately, she spun the wheel and she wants Wendy Chu in a casket match. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, our main event is the TNT title in a Devil's Playground match. Now, Ethan Page, who feels that this match is going to bring back his title because Trick Williams he thinks that this match he had with Trick Williams recently was a fluke. However, you know that this match was a match where they were going to destroy each other, anything goes type of match. So we saw Page put him in an ego's edge through the broadcast table, and just like that, wiping out. It did not do any well. But as always, the trick shot was the main difference, allowing for Trick Williams to pick up the win. But however, Rich Holland showed up and ruined the party. Then of course Ethan Page and Rich tried to wipe out um, Trick Williams until Bubba Ray showed up and took him out, took both these guys out. So we'll see what happens on Tuesday. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. So I think we are done with NXT. So let's move on with our lasting news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's talk about our developments. We don't have any upcoming events as we speak. As you may or may not have heard, Ric Flair's stepson, with his wife, I forgot her name. His stepson Sebastian Kinder passed away. Apparently, he took his own life, which is tragic. I send my condolences to Ric Flair, to his wife, and the rest of the family. Ric Flair just recently broke his silence about this. I'm not gonna get too much of the details, but you guys should check it out. I think it's very emotional, and I understand for Ric Flair, he's not his son, but he feels sad that he had to do something like that. I think it might have reminded him so much about his own son, Reed, if you guys remember. But yeah. So anyway, let's talk. We'll talk more about that at some point. But yeah, many of you may know this person, Sawyer Wreck. Apparently, she just revealed that she's hanging her boots, which means that she's retiring, which was very unusual. But she had this statement to put in. I've been hesitant to say something because words are hard, but after November 16th, I will be hanging my boots up. I will be probably spending the next 10 years trying to process the whole things I've experienced during this era of my life. But I will never forget the grateful for all the love shown and energy given to me by this community. If you're in the Austin, Texas today, October 27th, or Orlando on November 16th, and you want to watch me leave it all in the ring and probably be more emotional to charge than usual, here's the opportunity. Forever and violently yours, Sawyer Wreck. Okay, I did not anticipate that, but however, it's understandable. It's not something. It's very interesting, but we do know there's people who have been doing that. But we'll see what happens. Now, recently there's been a coverage about Samantha Irvin being at AEW Collision, but there was other things that she actually talked about. She actually mentioned this on her X account. This is what she said. When he was mostly, she also talked about Ricochet as well. He was at WWE after he was heard that he was a jobber or was at catering. Not he now he's actually paid well to put on matches he likes. So he's doing great, and I'm really proud of him. I also went to the show last night, and the crowd was having fun. Not everyone wants to be famous doing something they don't enjoy. So yeah, this is coming for her. Now, some of you may think that Samantha is full of herself talking like this, that, oh, he's a jobber and all that. But guys, you got to remember, not a lot of wrestlers got an opportunity in WWE. It's very understandable. That's why certain people leave WWE to go to AEW to get better opportunities that they could have. I mean, we've seen that already. And sooner or later, WWE has to recognize, yes, you screwed up, you dropped the ball. That's on you, not on the wrestler. So we'll see what happens in the future. But for now, we'll leave things as it is, and we'll just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have, of course, more with New Japan Pro Wrestling, continuing with Super Junior Tag League, and of course, we have Choco Pro. So we'll see how things will progress. I'm not sure exactly what's going to be the actual plan, but we'll get there. But for now, we'll leave things as it is, and I will see you guys on the next episode. So I must say, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day.